Hello, everyone. Welcome to AWS Sheeple's Tech Skills. My name is May, and I'm a solutions architect, and we are streaming from Sydney, Australia. You might notice that usually we have two hosts on this show, but currently Mai is on holiday. So today I am just going to be a solo host, but we have got special guests for you. If you're not familiar with Sheeple's Tech Skills, Sheeple's Tech Skill is to bring women in technology, women in the community to promote and to showcase their technology projects, their demos and technical skills, share with the audience, and share their experience and career journey on the Twitch channels. And we are streaming live every month on the last Friday. So this month we have got a special guest from who is based out of India. So I would like to welcome Aish Genska from India. She is a specialist solutions architect focusing on the Amazon OpenSearch service. So welcome, Ash.
Hey everyone, hey May, thank you so much for having me.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Cool. So, Ash, you are specialist solutions architect, and you have been with AWS for many, many years, working on technology space for so many years. Tell us a little bit about your career journey and your experience at AWS.
Absolutely. So my name is Aish. I'm a specialist solutions architect at AWS. I've been with AWS for over 8 years now. Still doesn't feel like it. I joined as a support engineer back in 2015. I was part of the analytics team where, I used to like troubleshoot customer issues. And after a few years, I became an OpenSearch SME. So after which, I got to get on a lot of customer calls. And I noticed there used to be a technical account manager bridging me and the customer. So I realized instead of just troubleshooting issues, I could like set up a long-term engagement with customers, and that's when I shifted or I transitioned as a technical account manager. That role gave me a very good exposure to connect with C-level executives, be part of customers, business reviews, and like just discussing with a lot of stakeholders. But one thing I did miss was, being involved in the technical side of things, especially
Yeah.
OpenSearch. And the good thing about AWS is there's so much flexibility. There's something called a TFC program, technical field community, where you can be part of the analytics community, like spend 80% of your time spending as a TAM, and the other 20% you could engage with customers and still discuss open search migrations, best practices, etc. So and after that, I realized I enjoyed that 20% piece more, and it felt like the perfect opportunity. I came across this role called OpenSearch Specialist SA in AWS, and then I transitioned as a specialist SA.
Wow.
So
That
that's been my journey at AWS. It's been good.
that's amazing. So what does a specialist solutions architect do? Like what is a day in a life of a specialist solutions architect?
Yeah, a specialist solutions architect is just like a solutions architect, except that you're specializing in one service, in this case, Amazon OpenSearch service. So, on a daily basis, I'm talking to customers, trying to understand their requirements, helping them build solutions, trying to understand if a particular architecture works best for them. And my favorite part of the job, though, is like, let us say customers have a self managed setup. So, helping them or talking to them about AWS equivalent options and helping them migrate to AWS. And most importantly, helping them with right sizing and
Mm.
helping them understand the cost benefits of
Yeah.
using AWS. A lot of customers get so happy when they see like a 40% reduction cost
Yeah.
after migrating to AWS. And of course, I always ensure to talk about like the best practices, like considering high availability, fault tolerant. So, they have like the best architecture in place.
Yeah, that is really amazing. Like when you talk to customer and where you can see the opportunity to save
Exactly.
costs and bring that benefits for them, it's really useful for the customer. So that is super amazing. I have one question. I have questions for the
Yeah.
audience. If you let us know if you have used OpenSearch before. Like for myself, I haven't used OpenSearch before until like this year. And then I started getting into OpenSearch and just trying a few things, building a demo. What makes you to like get really deep into OpenSearch, because you started with OpenSearch SME and now like getting into a specialist role? But what makes you to really stick with this service? It must be something special.
Yeah, so see, it all goes back to 2015. That was the first service I picked up and started working on, and the rest is just being history. I did pick up a couple of other analytics services, but I don't know. I've just been stuck with service. And
Yeah,
it's also about the different features that's being added. Like if you look back at Amazon Elasticsearch service in 2015, there were a handful of features. Like today, we have like a rich array of features. It's like it's amazing. You like for 2 months, if you log off or unplug yourself from the service, and if you log in, the console is going to have so many new plugins and features. So I
that's
think
so
that's what
true.
kept me, glued to the service. Like so many features, there are always things to learn. So yeah,
No, that's amazing. Like when you're really passionate about something, and then like as you invest more, you explore more opportunities and you explore new things. And I think that's really cool. Speaking of OpenSearch, the topic of this month is going to be Amazon OpenSearch with a bit of a security flavor on top. So Ash, tell us what we're going to do for this month.
absolutely. So we're going to be talking about the security analytics feature of OpenSearch. In case you've used OpenSearch for a while now, you would know how customers use it for either a search use case or log analytics. But little information has been available to folks that you can use it as a security use it for security use cases too. So I just wanted to quickly talk about the security analytics plugin that comes with Amazon OpenSearch service.
Awesome.
Yeah. So for those who are new, or if you're already familiar with OpenSearch, here's a quick refresher. What is OpenSearch, right? So OpenSearch is a community-driven open source search and analytics suite. It was released back in 2021. Since then, it has gained a lot of attraction. Like you can see the stats on the right side. Look at the number of downloads since launch.
Mm,
One thing we are very proud of it that it is one of the top four search engines by DB Engines ranking, and it's very impressive to see the increase in growth of the pull requests since 2021. And moving on, I also wanted to talk about Amazon OpenSearch service. So Amazon OpenSearch service is like the fully managed version where you don't have to set up your own servers. AWS is going to do the deployment for you. So you can fully focus on your business or your application, and the patching, software patching, the security, everything is going to be taken care of by AWS. And of course cost, like you no longer have to have the high long, you don't have to scale for peak times. Like if we are expecting traffic to hit a certain request after a week, you can definitely scale it up after a few days. So you'll only provision for the resources that you would actually need. That way, you would save a lot on costs. And this is something we'll touch upon today. So the observability feature, where you can detect any threats or use OpenSearch for creating dashboards, visualization, where you can get actionable insights from your data. And there's like a rich array of security features. All you have to do is just enable them from the console, like be it encryption or fine-grained access control. Everything is possible with Amazon OpenSearch service.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting because like a lot of like the big topic like observability and then be able to do a lot of detection and protection threats to the system. Like I'm just curious what could be the possible use case for the open search? It's not just for like real-time searching, but it can do a lot of other things. So well, what could be the
Yeah.
other use cases?
Yeah, as you mentioned, as the name says, search engine, right? Like, let's say I log into Amazon, I search for something, I search for a water bottle, just because I have one next to me. You get all the relevant items listed on your website. Or if it's a Friday night, you want to search a movie on Netflix, right? So you search for something and you get the relevant items. That is so that is the number one use case. Number two is going to be like log analytics, where let us say you want to understand. You might have like 10 to 15 applications, and you might want to understand which application is down or why is it down. So it is not possible to log into each of your web server to look at the error logs and troubleshoot. So you can ingest all of these error logs to OpenSearch, and you can like create nice visualizations. So the mean time to detect and respond to your incidents is going to be like reduced drastically by using OpenSearch. And the next is the security feature. Like we have a plugin called Security Analytics. It comes packaged with the service. You don't have to like install anything. All you have to do is log into the dashboards, which we'll see in a bit. And in this session, that is, we are going to be talking about security analytics feature.
That's really cool. I haven't actually tried on. I have done on the observability piece where you ingest
Okay.
the log from different resources and then make it like a centralized visualizations or operational dashboard to see,
Hmm.
where is the error, what is the application healthy. So I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to security flavor on this.
Yeah, so there's a thin line between observability and security. Actually, end of the day, you're ingesting logs and visualizing. It's just that
Mm.
with security, whatever you said is exactly what happens. You ingest logs and visualize. But with security, the added feature is you identify if there's a threat instead of just
Mm.
as opposed to observability where you're checking if your application is up or down or functioning well. In the
Yep.
security side, you're going to try to see if there is any threat. But the underlying concept, as you said, is the same. You ingest logs and create visualizations. Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. So before getting started, why exactly do we need security analytics? Like, of course, we have a feature called security analytics, but why? Why do we need security analytics in today's world, right? So I just want to set the foundation or stage by saying breaches are going to happen. Like there are some few articles that I picked up. Like you might have heard about this news. Major airlines recently mentioned that there was a security breach or unauthorized access of personal information of a particular set of customers. And then there was an oil pipeline shut down as a result of malware attack with compromised credentials. And then a rideshare company also mentioned or they were impacted by social engineering attack. In case you're not familiar with these, you can quickly Google. You should be able to get
Mm.
details about all of this. However, what is important to understand is breaches are going to happen. However, what you or I could do is use the right tools to protect our data, infrastructure, organization, so we can just save from attack. So enter OpenSearch Security Analytics. I'll just quickly talk about some of the features that we have. Let me know if you have any questions. So as mentioned with Security Analytics, you're gonna get the right tools. So you can secure your business and infrastructure. And not just that, you also want to be able to detect threats in real time. So this feature comes with out-of-the-box support for few log sources. For example, like Windows logs, CloudTrail logs, DNS logs, etc. What this means is there's going to be like field mapping readily available. Meaning, so let us say let us say I pick CloudTrail logs, right? So if you're familiar with the AWS infrastructure, CloudTrail logs are going to keep track of all the activities happening at the account level. So each of these logs are going to have different field types, right? So all of these, so when you, the security analytics plugin is going to have like a schema, or it's
Mhm.
going to know the schema of all of these logs. So this way, the response time is going to be super fast. And then it's going to help you detect threats quickly. How? Meaning it comes with like 2200 open source Sigma security rules. So you don't really have to like create new rules. As like the configuration from your end is going to be like super minimal. All you will do is select your log type, and then automatically these rules are going to be applied. Now, however, if your organization has like a particular rule that is not part of the 2200, you have the flexibility to customize it. You can disable the existing rule, and you could add a new rule to detect a threat. That you get that flexibility. And
That's
yeah,
one question, Ash. So, like in the
yes.
Sigma security rules, like, could you give us some examples and
Oh,
what is
sure.
Sigma security rules for audience who is watching and not familiar with the Sigma security
Yeah.
rules?
Exactly. So a Sigma security rule is, first of all, it is open source, and it has like
Mm,
a generic signature format. It's typically used in cyber security, specifically for like creation and detection of threats. So for example, right, I'm going to go back to the CloudTrail example. So, we get better understanding during the demo. So let us say
mhm.
I select CloudTrail logs, automatically few Sigma rules are going to be applied. So few rules could be like if there is any root login detected. So if you know
Right.
best practice in AWS is to use IAM credentials. So if someone is using root login, that is going to be captured. Or if someone
Right.
is modifying the cloud trail, like deleting or updating the trail, that is going to be captured. So these are some of the rules that are readily available for you.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So like that could be really useful. So if you have a standards, organization standardize security rules, and you can leverage the open source plugin just to readily use that to
Exactly.
improve their security posture.
Exactly. Yeah. And let us say you get findings, right? Let us say you selected the logs and you applied these rules. You have
Mhm.
findings. Findings are only beneficial as long as it's notified to someone, right? Otherwise, the
True.
tool could just get
Just
some
sitting
findings
there.
for you. Yeah, you don't want
Yeah.
it to just sit there. Like you want someone to act on it. So that is what the alerting is. So you can alert your SecOps team, or the corresponding team who can like then resolve the errors or issues either
Yeah.
manually or programmatically.
That's really useful. So you get the OpenSearch, like the plugin can capture what is happening and be able to detect the potential threats and then alert it into a relevant
Yes,
team down the thread. So
correct.
I think that's really useful. What sort of alerting tools that could be available?
Yeah, there are quite a few tools available. Like if you're familiar with Amazon SNS, if that is something your organization is already using, you can use SNS for alerting. If you're using Slack channel, that webhook could be added as an alerting
Yeah,
mechanism as well. So like you can give this particular webhook, and the Slack, then you will get like a Slack
that could be very
notification,
handy.
and
Yeah,
similarly a chime message as well.
awesome.
Yeah. So that's the overview of security analytics. Now, I also wanted to talk about what all you will have to set up. How is the setup look like? So there are 5 different components. The first, of course, is you have to identify your logs. So we already discussed this, like whether it could be like CloudTrail logs, DNS logs, network logs, and and then you're going to create what is called a detector. Now, uh, all of this is going to just happen in click of buttons. So what
Mhm.
you mean when you create a detector is ideally you are selecting the log type. So when I say I create a detector, it means I'm going to select which log type I want to. You can think of it as categorization. You can create one detector for CloudTrail logs, one detector for Windows logs, right? That way you can categorize all of your investigation as such. And then you'll configure rules, or the Sigma rules are going to be applied to the detector. In this case, if I have CloudTrail logs, my CloudTrail Sigma rules will be applied to this particular detector. And of course, you can always add new rules and customize it. And we discussed about creating alerts, and finally you will respond to the alerts manually or programmatically. So this is going to be the investigation workflow. And here's a
That
quick
seems
look.
pretty
Yeah,
straightforward.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. You just have to, yeah, the thing is, a lot of customers are not aware of this feature, but how
Uh-huh.
simple it is to get started with less configuration from your end, and you get like huge benefits. So that is what
Yeah.
is even more important.
That's really useful. So anyone who is watching online, or if you're watching video on demand on this, have you used a OpenSearch security and analytics tool? I haven't, so I'm learning something new today. So thank you for sharing that. And we have got a demo right after this, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah, and one thing we're also curious is what tools are you using right now in your organization to perform security analytics? So definitely mention it in the chat here. We are just curious to know what tools
Yeah.
you are currently using.
What are you currently using? Is it something else? Is it open source tools or is it OpenSearch security analytics tool?
Awesome. So I have a pre-recorded demo. I hope you're able to see the right screen. Okay.
Yeah, I can see the
Okay.
screen. Yep.
All right. I'm hitting play. I'm already in my OpenSearch dashboards. So I've logged in. You just have a username password. Once that is done, on the left, you can see here, you use under OpenSearch plugins, you can see security analytics,
Right.
and I'm just gonna click that. So you should see something like an overview page. So let us say first thing in the morning, right? You want to see, hey, what work do I have today, right? So you
Mhm.
can just come to the overview page. It's going to tell you what all findings and alerts are there. You have an option to change the time period. Like I'm gonna do 1 week because I know I have a few findings from the past couple of days here. So you're gonna see a few findings here. It's gonna tell how many active alerts are in here. You can see alerts, etc. However, I think it will make more sense if to revisit this page after we take a look at the other options on the left. So let's start with the detectors. Clicking the detectors on the left here. Okay, so there are three detectors in place. So as mentioned, I'm using the log type, the CloudTrail logs. However, because you are here, I also want to quickly show how the detector creation process works. I'm hitting the create detector option. You're gonna give a name that you can remember. So for example, let's go back to the root login capture, right? So if you wanna know who are all logging in with root access credentials, you can
Mhm.
create a detector with a similar name. So just a reminder, in AWS, best practice or recommendation is to use IAM credentials for logging in, because the root has extra privileges and more capabilities that you don't want to accidentally delete
Yeah.
any of the resources, right? So
That's that's
I'm
a
just
great
giving
security reminder.
exactly.
If you have a root user, please do not use it for day-to-day operation. Use the IAM credential, use the IAM roles if you can, which are temporary credential to access to AWS resources. So that's a great security reminder, Ash.
Absolutely. Yep. So once you have the name, you're going to select the right data source. So meaning an index. So data in OpenSearch is stored in the form of indices, right? So you think of it as tables in your database world. So in OpenSearch, it's going to be in the form of index. So one index will have all of your data. So in my case, I have my CloudTrail index, which has all my CloudTrail related logs. So I'm selecting that as the data source. And you can see, and here you're going to select which log type. So this is all out of the box. So the moment you select which log, right, your rules are going to be automatically applied. Notice how when network events is selected, the detection rules is about 38, right? Now, once I select CloudTrail, you're going to see the number of detection rules update to 31. So
Right.
remember how we talked about the Sigma security rules? So depending upon the log type, different rules are going to be applied to your logs. And next we have the field mapping. So we need to map the fields in your logs to the Sigma field mapping, right? So on the left, you have all of the fields from your Sigma rules. Um, so you can just map it here. So if you see, this is an error code field, correct? So I'm going to select error code in CloudTrail. Similarly, error message, I'm going to select error message. So you're just going to pick, map it. For the most part, it's going to auto-populate. Sometimes when it doesn't auto-populate, you're going to manually select it. Just going to do it for a few here, just for the demo purpose. And then you have the detector schedule option. What this means is how often should the rules run against my logs? You can just leave it with the default 1 minute, or you also have an option to like change it to few hours or a few days by toggling this option. But we'll just leave it to 1 minute and then hit next. Alrighty. So next is the alerting option that we discussed. Of course, alerting is not mandatory. You might not want to get alerted for every finding, right? Sometimes it could be
True.
trivial. You might not, you just want to capture it, but sometimes it could be super important. So those you will definitely capture. So in this case, I really want to know who are all using root logins. So that's why I am setting up an alert for root login notify. And here, under the rule name, it's going to remember you asked for a few examples of Sigma rule names, correct? So one of the rule names is root credentials. So I'm just going to run this or get notified when this rule gets a finding against my CloudTrail logs.
Right. So you can
And
pick and choose
exactly,
which
you want to
rules
get
will
alerted.
trigger alerts. That's really handy because sometimes you just want to know, but you don't need to wake people up in the middle of the night.
Exactly.
So, so that comes in handy, like root user, and that could be like their priority want to have a human interaction or have a look at what's
Absolutely.
going on. So I think that's
Yes.
really cool.
Yes, yeah. And in this demo, I have selected medium, low, and high, but you could just select high, as you mentioned. You might not really want to get notified for the low severities. And then for the selecting channel to notify, in case you don't have a channel, you're going to hit the manage channel button. That will give you an option to like create a new Slack channel or a Slack web alerting channel. I already have one, so I just selected my existing Slack channel, and this is the notification message that you would get. If you see, this is the name of the detector, and it has information about what at what time or which log type actually got that particular alert. And you also have an option to like customize that message too. Like if you want to say, hey, it's important or critical. So, you know, if you want to grab attention, you have an option to do that as well. And finally, before creating, of course, you can quickly review if you need to modify anything and create a detector. That's pretty much what the detector creation process is. Now I'm going to open one of my existing detectors. So let's quickly go through that. So as mentioned, these are all the Sigma rules in place. And on the source, you can also see these are all Sigma. I don't have custom rules, but if you have your own rules, you can definitely edit and add it as well. You can see the different severities. It also has a description of all of these rules and you have an option to filter it based on to just see the high severity rules as well. And this one has the field mapping in case you want to update the mapping. You can get that done here just to review it. And in the future, if you want to
Yeah.
modify the alerts, that's possible as well. So
So one question. So you have
yeah.
detector and then the rows, and one detector can have a multiple rows. Is that how it's
Oh
applied?
yeah, you can. Yes. Yeah. So remember how I just said, yeah, you can have multiple roles. That is possible. Correct.
Right. And then
Yeah.
and how many detectors can you have on this one like log source?
Just like other AWS services, I'm sure there is a soft limit. I don't have the exact number in mind. I will have to take a
Yeah.
look at that. However, they let me take a look at that. I am not sure if there is any soft limit on the number of detectors, but I do know you
I'm
can
just
create
curious.
multiple. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I do know you can create multiple detectors for the same log type. That is a possibility. Yes.
Yeah, because it would be really useful to have like one detector and then you can apply multiple rules however you want to do it and then categorize depending on the
Yeah.
use case and then have the alerts in place. So I think that's
Yep.
really cool.
Absolutely. Yep. Number of detectors. Let me see. Okay, I don't seem to find, but I will get that information for you. Um, and then I'm moving on to the findings. So initially we checked the detectors section, right? Now I'm going to go to the findings section. So this is going to give me information about how many findings I have. So you can see that I have 5 findings and there were about 2 findings in these couple of days. And I want you to understand this is my test environment. That is why this looks like very minimal. And also you only see one log here. But if you have
Yeah.
like a prod environment, you would definitely
Mhm.
see like more logs, more findings. I'm sure this
Yeah,
will look more chaotic because there's going to be so
that's
many
true.
things to work
Yeah.
work on for sure. And you can also group it based on rule severity. There are quite a few options here. And what do we Okay. So, and then if I want to understand where the findings, you're gonna scroll down to see the findings section. Remember, so the findings in the graph we saw earlier. So these are all the findings that were identified. So
Mm.
each of the finding has its own ID, as you can see, and it also tells you what time it was found, right? And it gives you the rule name, etc. If I open one of the finding ID, it gives me information. For example, this particular finding is if someone is making changes to CloudTrail.
Mm.
So it detects if someone disabled or deleted or updated a CloudTrail. That was one of the findings. That is one of the rules that we've set that detector has. And if you scroll down, you should also be able to see which user. For example, you can find the ARN of the user who updated the trail, and it gives the timestamp. It tells you what event. So in this case, this user deleted the trail.
Mm.
So it gives you this particular information. Now you could quickly either reach out to this user or contact the corresponding teams to understand, hey, CloudTrail is pretty important. Like CloudTrail is going to help you track all of the activities at the account level.
Yeah,
So if someone is like deleting it, then it's definitely
it's
a big
concerning.
security.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then we have the alert section. Here you might see multiple colors. So one says
Yeah.
active, the other is acknowledged. What this means is as soon as you get findings, right, you need to be able to keep track of which findings have been worked on, correct? So the
Mm.
moment a new finding comes in, you're going to go select it and acknowledge it and assign it to your team. That way you know, okay, I've worked on all of these findings or alerts, and I
Yeah.
still have few more to get to. So in this case, these the orange one or the red one is still active. So I'm selecting it and hitting acknowledge, and I'm going quickly going to
Right.
pass it on to the team. That way now I know, I've cleared everything. Now the
Yeah.
next team has to take care of, resolving the threads. So this is a good place to keep track of all of your alerts. This
Yeah.
just has like few, so might not look interesting, but imagine there are like hundreds of findings coming in like
Mm.
every week. It would. So
It's
this is the
yeah.
only way to understand, right?
It's really useful when you have like maybe for example multiple accounts and multiple like CloudTrail logs coming in and you want to
Exactly.
quickly coming in and I don't know 9 a.m. and you want to see what happened, a previous day and what is
Yes.
going on in the environment, any alerts that you need to acknowledge, getting everything's in the one dashboards. I think that's very insightful data for like
Exactly.
operational team, security team, platform teams. If you're
Correct.
watching this live, let us know how you are currently managing your workflow in terms of like day-to-day platform operation or like operations in the cloud. Let us know in the chat.
Awesome. I liked how you mentioned centralized view because that is exactly where we are at. We are at the overview page. This is where we started the demo, but now it would make more sense. Now we've seen detectors finding alerts, etc. So if you look at this, you would see how they were. So as soon as I log in, yeah. So you can see how it says zero active alerts because every alert has been acknowledged. If I had not acknowledged it, you would see the number here, and it is gives the number of findings. So as you mentioned, I log in at 9 a.m. I want to know a centralized view of what's happening. I'm gonna get all of that from this overview page, and it's going to also tell me what alerts were triggered, what was the severity, and then I also get to see the rule name and all of that. And because I only have CloudTrail, I just have one in my chart here. But as you mentioned, if there are like multiple kind of logs, and if you know there's a particular rule getting triggered frequently, then we can definitely focus more on
Mm.
that. So this gives the overview page gives like a centralized view, and it also tells you which all detector are active. And so I think this one should answer your question from earlier. So where is it? Okay. So I have one log type, but multiple detectors for the same log type. So that
Right.
is a possibility, but I just don't know the limit. But we can look into that.
That's
It's
awesome.
possible to, yeah,
That's pretty cool.
yeah. That's pretty much it. That's all about security analytics, actually. Um,
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That is super useful. Understanding what is OpenSearch, what's in the security analytics plugins involved, what can customers do, so what can viewers can do to go and find out and improve their security posture. So this is one of the possible ways to be able to detect and then react into those security threats. Uh, for the viewers out there, if they're watching this streaming, Ash, like how can they go and learn for the next step?
Oh, so there is a very good blog post that talks about, step by step on how to configure this.
Hmm.
I can share the link to the blog post here.
Yeah, I will
Uh,
drop a link. I'll drop a
okay,
link in the chat.
awesome.
So if anyone watching want to go and build, have tried out the blog post. I think that it will include like step by step guide to like what it is, how to configure OpenSearch and
Yes,
also security
yes.
analytics plugins. So I think that is super useful.
Absolutely. And also, you can also drop the link to our documentation page and our blog page. That way, those who are new to OpenSearch can also get to learn about the service as such.
Awesome. I'm going to drop a link in the chat on the OpenSearch and also the security analytics. So, Ash, really appreciate your time. This has been a
Absolutely.
great session.
Oh,
Is
awesome.
there, do you have any words like for viewers who want to connect with you? What is the best way
Absolutely.
to reach out?
Yes, I've dropped my LinkedIn QR code here, so I'd love to connect with you all. And I really hope this session was valuable. And I hope you learned something more about OpenSearch instead of it just being a search and analytics engine. You also got to learn about the security flavor in OpenSearch. And please let us know if you have any other questions.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing the LinkedIn. So, for anyone who is watching, want to talk to Ash, understand more about OpenSearch or her career journey, please reach out to her on the LinkedIn or ask any questions while we are streaming live. So, hopefully, you enjoy this session and get a lot of the learnings from the OpenSearch and security analytics. Thank you, Ash, again for your time and spending time to do the demo and also sharing your career journey. So really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I
Thank you so much for having me, May.
No worries. I hope we will see you again. And I just want to say big thank you to all the viewers out there. I hope you enjoyed this session, and we will see you again next month, the same time, in the same place. See ya.
Bye.